Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back, everyone. This episode, we're going to cover Dark Empath. Now, I do have to say that Kim and I both were researching separately all the different types of empaths. Dark Empath kept popping up, and it's funny, we were having a meeting about the empaths, and I forgot which one brought it up. Might have been Kim going, "Have you seen this Dark Empath thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what is that?" And so we thought we would do an episode on Dark Empaths. Obviously, and thankfully, we don't have personal experience with this one to be that, because I don't want to be a Dark Empath. I don't know about you, Kim, but...
No.
Yeah.
But we may have had experiences with Dark Empaths.
Yes, and it's good to know what a Dark Empath is because they're a little sneakier than a narcissist. So this is a very important episode, I think. Very dark episode. Haha, Dark Empath.
Yeah. Ha.
But so Kim, you want to lead us off with Dark Empath? Or?
Sure. No problem. Okay, so before we dive into the Dark Empath, we need to establish the difference between what a cognitive and emotional empath or empathy, the difference between them. So a cognitive empathy is the ability to understand and recognize the thoughts, feelings, and perspectives of others without getting emotionally involved. So you can understand where people are coming from, but you're not tied to it emotionally. So the emotional empathy is feeling the emotions someone else is feeling as though you were sharing the experience. You have to keep those two things in mind. The Dark Empath doesn't feel it emotionally. They only are able to recognize what empathy is. Does that make sense?
So they're basically faking it, but they know what it is.
They know what it is, yes. So
Interesting.
Dark Empaths are skilled at expressing empathy in the cognitive way rather than emotionally, and the emotional distance they keep while operating equips them with a laser focus to achieve their ends through manipulation, gaslighting, and bullying. Dark Empaths understand the way a person is feeling and makes it seem as though they care, but they are using their cognitive ability to empathize with you for their personal gain. They will typically exhibit the characteristics and behaviors of the dark triad, which are Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and narcissism. Now, Machiavellianism refers to a person's exploitive, cynical, manipulative behavior. This is someone who is cunning and willing to go to extremes to get what they want. These people are also vindictive and prone to betraying others without remorse. I think we all know somebody like that at some point in time in our lives.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Now, psychopathy is an antisocial disorder that lacks compassion despite being able to read people. They struggle to control their behavior or feel any remorse for harm they may cause. They are also manipulative, superficial, charming, callous. They live in a erratic lifestyle, antisocial behavior, and prone to criminal behavior. Narcissism is characterized by grandiose thinking, an exaggerated sense of entitlement, self-importance or superiority, an abnormally inflated ego, and intense desire for attention and reassurance. They have a superiority complex and very manipulative. So when you add the traits of the dark triad to the cognitive empathy of the Dark Empath, you get a person who can be very dangerous to the people they encounter. What do you think about that?
I think I don't want to encounter a Dark Empath. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so let's go into some of the traits of a Dark Empath. They are very manipulative. A Dark Empath might use their ability to understand and manipulate the emotions of others for personal gain or to control situations. They may guilt trip you one day, making you feel like you're in the wrong for not playing to their tune. They may gaslight you if you confront them about their behavior, attempting to convince you that you misunderstood the situation. They are extroverted. Dark Empaths are often more extroverted than others. in part due to their narcissistic tendencies, hinting at their ability to be comfortable socializing and communicating with others. A combination of extroversion and high levels of cognitive empathy is extremely effective for forging connections with other people. These traits can have dangerous consequences for the people the dark empath encounters. They are sweet in public. The dark empath is sweet in public, but is cold in private. They know what people want to see, so they wear the mask of an empath so people will think highly of them. When behind closed doors, they drop the mask to reveal someone that is a cold, cunning, manipulative bully. Wow.
Yeah. I don't like this already.
I know. We're just getting started.
I know.
Okay, so they are keenly perceptive. High levels of cognitive empathy mean dark empaths are highly attuned to the way others are feeling and reacting to situations. They can use this information to endear themselves to potential targets, making it seem as though they're unusually understanding and caring. However, their desire to achieve their own goals is the only purpose and motivation of the dark empath. Any information they get through their high levels of perception, they can then manipulate others' feelings to give the dark empath what they are after. They retain emotional distance. Dark empaths can retain emotional distance from other people despite conveying a sense of deep understanding of their perspectives. They can then draw people closer to them, making them feel that both parties have formed an authentic bond, all the while maintaining a perceived sense of control. When they have ensnared the other person, they can manipulate them without genuine concern for that person's feelings. They go to the extremes to appear gallant, holding doors open for people, smiling, love bombing, and appearing to be like a Prince Charming type person. But behind closed doors, drops the act totally. People will not believe that the dark empath is abusive when they're in private. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're reading all of these behavior traits, and I keep thinking, have I ever dated one? Was I married to one? I'm just like, no, okay. I'm just like,
oh, I know.
I'm just like, I do think I knew a dark empath. She was pretty manipulative, and I just always figured she was kind of narcissist. But some of this is kind of like, maybe that was her. Okay.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Yes.
I can think of at least one person in my past as well that I think, yeah, wow, yeah, glad that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Thanks, Spirit.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. So the dark empath makes jokes at the expense of others. The dark empath's emotional shrewdness means they know how to twist the knife. They tend to be sarcastic and to revel in making others the butt of jokes, especially if they've got an audience. Though they gravitate towards public embarrassment, dark empaths are still often able to present themselves as kind-hearted. They defend their own cruel behavior by insisting that they didn't mean it or that it was just a joke.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So they refuse to accept responsibility for their actions and behavior. When the dark empaths are called out for their actions, they tend to flip the narrative and gaslight the person they hurt, insisting there was never a problem or that person is really to blame. Because they're so manipulative, they often succeed in turning the problem around and convincing the other person that they've done nothing wrong. The dark empath also will fake an apology in a way to make the offended person feel as though they are to blame for getting upset. Isn't that nuts?
That is.
Yeah. This empath may even act superior to the offended person by acting condescending and overly apologetic to the point where the offended person may be left feeling silly for getting upset at all.
I can see how that would make you uncomfortable, because I hate it when people overdo things.
Oh, I know.
Okay, all right, you apologize. We're done. Move on.
Right. Exactly.
Because it does reek of insincerity when someone goes over the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have to ask, what is love bombing? I have not heard that term. What is love bombing?
It's when they are constantly sending you heart emojis, love emojis, calling you and telling you, oh, I can't live without you. You're the only one in my life. I love you so much. And
So suffocating behavior.
suffocating behavior.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I would view that as suffocating behavior. But being the several types of empaths I am, that would just really drive me up the wall.
Right. They're trying to draw you in, isolate you, and let you believe that you're the only one for them in the whole wide world and they can't stand life without you, kind of thing.
Well, I'm glad to know that would annoy me to no end, so I'm less likely to be to be a victim to a dark empath, I think. Because anytime
Right.
someone's like that, I'm like, dude, step back. Like, what is wrong with you?
Exactly. Okay, so they put people in compromising positions. So dark empaths are master manipulators that know how to put other people in impossible positions to get what they want or just to see them squirm. They can seem charming and trustworthy when they want to be. They can elicit vulnerable information from people so that they take advantage of them later. Love bombing people is a very common way for the dark empaths to get close to someone in order to gain trust. They love to blackmail others. Because the dark empath has a vindictive streak, they can be cruel for the sake of exerting power. The dark empath tests the loyalty of people close to them by putting them in compromising positions or situations. They love gossip. Dark empaths gravitate to the rumor mill. Hearing gossip about other people makes the dark empath feel powerful. Knowing the seedy details of their friends' private lives may give the dark empath leverage to use against their friends if the need ever arises. They will always need something eventually. The gossip doesn't even have to be true. The dark empath will exaggerate the rumors and keep spreading them. They're kind as long as you agree with them. Dark empaths like to be in control. If there's any whiff of dissent between them and their friends or significant other, the dark empath may be prone to cruelty and vindictive behavior, either to punish the dissenter or to persuade them to change their tune. They might freeze you out or ghost you from turning on them, or they may become verbally or physically abusive. The difference between the kind persona and their true cruel persona is like night and day. It can change in a flash. They may even plant their heels over a silly topic, meaning anyone who disagrees with the dark empath may experience a sort of emotional whiplash. 1 minute, you're playfully debating the quality of a movie you watched or something like that, and the next, the dark empath is furiously berating you for disagreeing with them. I have witnessed something like that before.
I still keep going back to the first husband. It's just like, huh. I don't know. Jury's
Keep
still
checking,
out on that
girl.
one. Jury's still out on that. Like,
Keep checking. We're not done.
Oh, gosh. You've already figured it out, huh?
I'm not saying. Okay, so they have a massive ego. Dark empaths have unreasonably high self-esteem.
Oh, gosh.
That if they were knocked off the pedestal, it would pose a threat to their very identity. So dark empaths need to be the center of attention at all times. They refuse to hear criticism. The slightest negative feedback could send them into a vicious tailspin. They are likely to be overly defensive, hurl the criticism back at the person who made it, or become abusive. That ego.
I know.
Gets them every time.
I'm like going,
Okay, they feel threatened by other people's achievements. Dark empaths tend to view success as zero-sum game, which means if their friends accomplish something, it takes away from the dark empath's accomplishments. While they appear to be supportive and charming when a person in the dark empath circle gets a promotion or award, inside they are seething and looking for ways to undermine the success. The dark empath will likely pout or turn the focus on themselves when a significant other has success, or They may state that the person didn't deserve what they got. They may also downplay this success to make it seem less impressive and boost their own sense of superiority. Okay, so they judge themselves critically. Dark empaths can exhibit a unique form of self-criticism. While their narcissistic tendencies cause them to feel a sense of grandiosity and self-importance, this can often offset by high levels of self-criticism. Their heightened empathetic insight grants them a deep awareness of their own manipulative tendencies, which can lead to a conflicted inner dialogue. However, the self-critical stance might be driven by a desire to refine their skills of emotional control and exploitation rather than genuine remorse for their actions. Crazy. Dark empaths combine the traits of empathy and manipulation, making them a unique and potentially dangerous personality trait. They often exhibit extroverted behavior and exceptional social skills, but may exploit vulnerability rather than fostering genuine connections. Some dark empaths display narcissistic tendencies and are sensitive to criticism, using manipulative and passive aggression to protect their pride. Oh gosh, I've experienced that. Despite their negative traits, dark empaths can be talented and dedicated individuals, often excelling in leadership roles. They have a desire for power, but may prefer participatory leadership rather than taking on all responsibilities themselves, meaning they can be a team player up to a point. They just want credit for all of it. Dark empaths excel at emotional manipulation, using empathy as a tool to achieve personal goals and leaving emotional scars on others. They are skilled at guilt-tripping others and enjoy malicious humor, often targeting others' weaknesses and insecurities. Dark empaths share some traits with the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, but display participatory leadership rather than seeking constant dominance. They can motivate others and often achieve goals through teamwork. Additionally, dark empaths use their empathetic skills for manipulation rather than solely for personal gain. Empathy serves as a tool for the dark empath to understand others' emotions and exploit vulnerability to their benefit. They possess strong cognitive empathy, often resorting to emotional manipulation. So the dark empath are often individuals who do guilt trips, gaslight, which means lead a person to question their own sanity and feelings and decisions. They love to charm to get their way. They use sarcastic and hurtful humor. They are emotionally intelligent. They can tell what others are feeling. They use manipulative tactic to gain and maintain control in relationships, have low self-worth and seek validation. They struggle with anxiety and depression, believe it or not. They behave vindictively, and they talk about others behind their backs. So signs that indicate you may be a dark empath include: you're able to connect to people easily and get them to lower their guard.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a dark empath if you tick that box.
No, it's all of these.
Okay, because, all empaths are able to connect to people and easily get them to lower their guard.
Yeah, and get them to lower their guard, but this dark empath is doing it for manipulative reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to read people and understand what they may be thinking and feeling in a given situation. You don't handle criticism well. You have low self-esteem. Now, just because we say these things, I suffer from low self-esteem at times, but I don't feel that makes me a dark empath. This
Right,
is
I
just
think
a
everybody
combination
does.
of... Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You love bomb a partner to draw them into the relationship with you, and then you stop the affection and attention. You use gossiping and bullying to get what you want.
So, Kim, when we were talking about doing the Dark Empath episode, I thought, I'm going to Google, because I got to Google everything, famous
Of course.
dark empaths. And do you know who popped up?
No.
Hannibal Lecter.
But he's not even real.
Evidently he is.
Well, I can definitely see where he would be a dark empath. He definitely had the manipulative and everything else involved there.
Kim had to tell me a little bit about Hannibal Lecter, because I have never watched Silence of the Lambs, nor ever intend to watch Silence of the Lambs. That's not my movies. I don't do those kind of movies. I mean, I knew who he was just from, I mean, how can you not?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so she had to give me a little education of the movie.
And how Hannibal Lecter fit this criteria.
But he was the only one that popped up. So I'm like, interesting.
Right. Well, and the fact that a Dark Empaths is kind of like something new. I mean, they've been there forever, but it's a new category. And the field of psychology and psychiatry is taking this into consideration. You know, they're actually researching this.
And I did see some articles that said it's not even a real thing.
I did see that too.
But from what, I kind of think it is a real thing. That's just me. But, if this doesn't resonate with y'all, and there's those that don't agree, and that's fine. That's okay.
Exactly.
Just don't be a Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
Or date one.
Right, exactly. So, how to deal with a dark empath. If you begin to suspect that someone in your inner circle is manipulating you, it is crucial to address this hunch in order to protect yourself from any further damage. Set boundaries between yourself and the person in question, and limit their access to personal information about yourself going forward. This may prevent them from using that information to manipulate your feelings or gaslight you.
Something popped into my head when you were just going over that. That's a very good point. But it would be kind of fun, though, if you suspect someone, to give them false information.
Oh,
I mean, that could be kind of fun. Because if you have to...
that could be kind of fun.
This is someone that you have to come in contact with. I mean, like someone you work with or a family member or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's a good way to test. Give them misinformation and see what they do with it. And then you could easily say, well, that's not true. Where'd you get that?
Well, true.
I mean,
that's true. You could do that.
That's just what popped into my head. But I do have a weird sense of humor, and I thought that would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, definitely would be kind of fun to do, but you got to be careful with that, though, too, because they can become very abusive and angry when you call them out. So you set boundaries. Establish and communicate firm boundaries with the individual. Be clear about what behaviors are unacceptable and what you will not tolerate. By doing so, you preserve your self-esteem and give yourself the best chance of experiencing happier outcomes. Stay emotionally grounded, maintain independence, and limit contact. Recognize your own emotions and vulnerabilities and shield them from the dark empath. Maintain distance from their emotional support and reach out to a trusted loved one to aid in this pursuit. Limit contact with the dark empath, and if they continue to bother you, do not hesitate to call the police, because you really do need to protect yourself, not just emotionally and spiritually, but physically, financially. So much damage that someone could do to you if you let them in and they have this type of personality. They could take over your finances. They could take over whatever they want. Seek support from your network. Discuss your concerns with trusted friends, family members, or a therapist. They can provide an objective perspective and guidance. Get therapy. If you feel your sense of self has been compromised by the impact of a dark empath in your life, getting professional help may be of great value. Get a doctor's appointment with the aim of a referral to a therapist who can help you cope and move forward in life. I mean, I can't even imagine the mental destruction that could take place from a dark empath.
Well, I know from an abusive standpoint, that's good advice as well. If you're in any kind of relationship, verbal, physical, whatnot, I mean, you should always get that help.
Right.
And if you've been in a relationship with a dark empath, you just ticked all those boxes, verbal, physical, whatever. It's very important to, in those situations. It doesn't mean you're weak. It just gets you some help.
Right.
And let you'll say things that you wouldn't say to your family.
Yes. You would be more honest with a third party, neutral person. Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to need that hand up. You're going to need somebody to help bring you back up to where you love yourself again and such.
It's very important. If you don't build yourself back up and get to where you were, then that leaves you open to attract like or worse.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Because your vibration obviously is not where it should be.
Right, right. Practice self-care. Engage in self-care activities that promote emotional well-being. Meditation, yoga, singing, gardening, and exercise are all examples of soothing activities that can center you, build resilience, and maintain a strong sense of self. Be kind to yourself. It was not your fault that this person weaseled their way into your life and caused you harm. Their aim was to manipulate you for their own personal gain while you were attempting to build an honest, meaningful connection with another person. That is a pursuit that requires no apology. Reminding yourself you are worthy of love and connection can be helpful in healing. Self-affirmations and keeping a regular journal of things you are grateful for can help bolster your self-esteem. Now, the exact cause of dark empathy is not known. It may involve a combination of psychology, genetics, environmental factors, and can vary from person to person. With the dark triad being possibly the main parts of dark empathy, we can recognize some indicators of a dark empath. Narcissism can be linked to adverse childhood experiences. Rejection, trauma, and abusive parenting during childhood can all lead to the development of narcissistic tendencies. Psychopathy may be due to genetic or environmental factors. And psychopathic adults are less capable of processing emotions, which could be linked to the diminished size of parts of the brain associated with the emotional regulation, like the amygdala. A child's early environment is fundamental to whether they develop Machiavellian tendencies. If a child has a selfish, manipulative mindset, their parents, peer relationships, and teachers may play important roles in preventing this from leading to a Machiavellian approach in adult relationships. And you can see that in some children, that the selfish tendencies and manipulative mindset. You need to steer them away from those tendencies and more towards a healthier way of a mindset. Dark empaths and narcissists have a sense of grandiosity, entitlement, and self-importance. The narcissist does not display the same level of self-judgment as the empath. Narcissists are blind to their own flaws, rarely reflect on their actions or how they affect others, whereas the dark empaths have high levels of self-judgment and therefore recognize they are doing bad things, but continue to do them anyway. So dark empaths are more multifaceted narcissists because they also have the personality traits of Machiavellianism and psychopathy. There's a difference between the dark empath and a psychopath, and that is the psychopath has a complete lack of cognitive empathy. The dark empath has high levels of cognitive empathy. They both exhibit manipulative behaviors to achieve their own goals, but the dark empath uses their empathic skills to achieve this. The psychopath is driven by a lack of moral restraint and a complete disregard for others' emotions. There was a Google search that I did that was, I think, something along the lines of, well, who could be dark empaths? And it came up with 4 zodiac signs that could be dark empaths. And I thought, well, let's just read this one and see what it comes up with. Now, keep in mind, this was just for fun. So don't think that this, I mean, every zodiac sign, I'm sure there's darkness in each one of them or whatever, or a negative connotation to some of them or whatever, but I just thought these were funny. So the Gemini, which is the air sign, twins is a symbol of duality, seems to have 2 different personalities and a tendency to use manipulative tactics to get their way. Emotional, angry outbursts, doesn't take accountability for their own actions, rarely admits to being wrong, and material possessions important, and skilled liars. So that's what it said about Geminis.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mom was not a dark
Mom was
empath.
not that. No.
Yeah.
And Mom was a Gemini.
Yeah. So the next one was Scorpio. It's the darkest sign of the zodiac. Plays in the darkness, participates in taboo practices, may lack integrity, emotionally manipulative, expert gaslighter.
I will like to point out that usually the description of your zodiac sign is spot on. Not in this
Right.
case. But
not in this case.
not in this case. We're not making fun of following zodiac signs. We're making fun of this.
Right, right. And the Virgo, it's an earth sign. They desire to control. They're wolf in sheep's clothing. They stick by what they do, believing it is in your best interest, but ultimately for their own purpose. Master narcissists and love bomb tactics.
So you're saying if you're single, avoid a Virgo. Is that what you're saying?
That's what this said.
Okay. But you're not saying that. All right.
I'm not saying any of this.
Okay.
Sagittarius, fire sign. They're corrupt guru, coming across as most spiritual or woke, then charming you until it's too late. They're transactional relationships. Philosophical, they make you question your own truth. They are not aware of their own truth and continue to be self-righteous while seeking new victims. Which I don't think that about Sagittarius neither, but I just thought it was a fun little thing to...
Yes.
Things
to make you go,
Yeah, well, let's see. Do I know a Sagittarius that way? I don't know. I usually don't know people's zodiac signs to begin with. Lucky to know my own.
Well, I'm just glad Capricorn didn't make the list. That's all I'm saying.
No, it didn't make the list. So that's, I think that's all I have on the Dark Empath. It was a very interesting research moment, to say the least.
Well, and we did a lot of joking, but it's very serious to know what to look for as an empath for psychic protection and everything. You want to identify with a narcissist, and usually you can pick up on that because of your feelings. But
right.
You really got to watch out for the dark empath and make sure you pay attention to your inner guidance system. When you see a red flag, it's there for a reason.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so it's very important to not go through that, because I really think my first husband was one of these.
Yeah, that was the one that came to mind.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've all had one of those in our lives. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm done with the Dark Empath.
Well, I think this is a good placement for this one to follow Dark Empaths. We're going to talk about 14 essential protection strategies for empath. That you may want to definitely take notes after that.
Exactly.
First of all, why do empaths need protection? We have the unique ability to absorb other people's energies, like we've discussed in this whole series. Being in a crowded place or close contact with others can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. You're an empath when you feel things deeply and you're prone to pick up external emotions, may mistake them for your own. Being around negative energies can make you feel drained. And even hanging out with friends who are stressed or unhappy can cause you to feel as if it's your personal burden to carry. We've all done that one.
Yes.
The truth is, you face a constant battle between helping the people around you and looking after yourself and your empath needs. This is very important.
Yes, it is very.
And that's why you need to protect yourself as an empath. Otherwise, you're in for an emotional roller coaster, and it is not a fun ride.
No, it's not.
The problem is many empaths don't fully understand what they can do to protect themselves, both long-term and in the moment when they're faced with unwanted energies. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be such a struggle. If you only take the time to practice some of the strategies I'm going to mention, you'll be a much more happier, balanced empath, I hope.
Well, it couldn't hurt. Let's put it that way.
It could not hurt, no. So number 1, cut out energy vampires. So very important.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with a protective step that can make all of the others fall into place a little easier. Cutting out the energy vampire, number 1. We all have them. Whether it's your boss at work, your sibling, or an old friend, an energy vampire is simply someone who makes you feel drained after being around them.
Okay.
Energy vampires don't always realize they're doing it, although some do.
Right.
But unconsciously, they suck your precious energy to the point where you feel extremely tired and weak. Raise your hand if that's happened to you.
Yeah, that has happened to me. Can I raise both hands?
And you can raise both hands. I can't see, so it's okay.
Okay.
Can't see your hands. You don't even know it's happening until the exchange is done.
Okay.
It could be that they're jealous of you. They have narcissistic traits, or what we just discussed, a dark empath, or they enjoy feeding off your caring nature and willingness to help others. The good news is you don't have to get bogged down with them any longer. The great way to protect your empath needs is to cut out any energy vampires that you can, because let's face it, you've got better things to do than have your day ruined by one of these types of people.
Yeah, definitely.
And for the ones who you can't, close family, a colleague, try to set healthy boundaries in the relationship.
Okay.
And of course, number 2 is have strong limits and boundaries.
I was going to ask you, so what are those? And here you are.
We're going to segue right into
it.
So now you've identified who the energy vampire is in your life. You're probably wondering, how can you go about coexisting with the ones you can't avoid? The most important thing you can do is to create a healthy, manageable relationship, is to set boundaries. So what do boundaries look like? For example, you're dealing with an energy-sucking family member. You might set limits on how much time you spend around them. This doesn't mean you have to cut them out altogether. It just means that you're not going to hang out on a regular basis, and you need to stick to your guns about that boundary.
Yes.
The truth is boundaries can and should be used in all your relationships, even the most loving and supportive. So it's not just if you have an energy vampire in your life, it's just so you can maintain a healthy relationship. Any healthy relationship needs boundaries.
Good point. Yeah.
Boundaries help relationships and friendships flow much more smoothly because both people know what is acceptable and what isn't. When thinking of what boundaries you want to have in place, ask yourself these questions. What am I willing to put up with? And what crosses the limit? I think it's very important. A lot of people don't know how to set up a boundary, and people are constantly, as an empath, taking too much.
Right.
They're just taking too much of your energy. So what are you willing to put up with? And what crosses the limit for you? And that's going to be different for each person. Who do I need to set boundaries with the most? So you need to identify, who do I feel very drained after being with, or who is exhausting to be around? Okay, so that's the person you either A, cut out of your life, or you set up boundaries where we're only going to get together when I feel comfortable with getting together or when it's necessary.
Right.
What am I comfortable saying yes to, and what do I want to say no to? And I think saying no is the hardest thing for empaths.
Oh, it is so difficult because you don't want to hurt the person or offend them or whatever.
Yes. But saying no is okay. It's okay to say no.
And it's empowering.
Yes. And as setting boundary-wise, it's letting the other person know that, okay, I'm going to tell you no on occasion. So it's nothing personal. I'm telling you no. And they will respect that if they're not a dark empath or narcissist,
right,
or
whatever. Yeah.
If they don't respect that, then really you need to reevaluate that relationship.
Right.
I've learned to say no more than I used to. It's, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I'm trying. I'm working on it.
I know you are. You came to mind on that one.
I know.
Yeah. The stronger you are with yourself and your boundaries, the more successful you'll be at getting others to respect them. So get them clear in your head first and make a list if it helps to remember them.
Good advice, sir.
Number 3, and this kind of goes with letting go of your fears, which we talk about a lot, is be upfront with your empath needs. If you're an empath and people around you don't know you're an empath, they don't understand what you really need from them. A big part of being able to set boundaries involves knowing what your needs are before you can even decide how to look after them. As an empath, you're already aware that you pick up on energies much more than others, and that you're more sensitive to certain stimulations. Have you identified what exhausts you and what energizes you? Are you in touch with your emotions and able to identify triggers? Once you've reflected on what your unique empath needs are, you need to convey them to your loved ones honestly and without holding back. Even with the best intentions in the world, your partner, parent, or friend may simply not understand what you're going through, or by being upfront with them, they help create healthier relationships. Find your voice, Speak up if something doesn't feel right, and don't be afraid to explain how you feel in certain situations. Those are kind of huge, aren't
Right, they are. Communication is so important because they're not going to know. If you've never sat down and talked to them about this, they are not going to know, plain and simple,
No.
So communicate.
And it's not fair to expect them to know and understand.
Right, because they're not going to pick up on what you're putting down if you're not telling them,
Right.
because they may not be.
No.
They may not be in touch with their selves,
Right. Okay, number 4, move away from negative environments. Yes, bad places. If you find yourself in a space with a lot of negativity or energies that make you uncomfortable, the easiest way to protect yourself is to move away.
Yep.
Don't worry about offending anyone, regardless of if you're at the movie theater, a doctor's waiting room, or sitting in the park. Just by putting some distance between you and the unwanted energy will quickly start to feel the very difference in your mood, and you'll be much calmer.
20 feet. Last episode, we talked about being 20 feet away. Or episode before last. See if you feel better.
You don't need, you don't need a tape measure.
No.
Yeah. It's normal for empaths to feel overwhelmed anyway in a large social situation, so protect yourself by taking some time to yourself in a quiet place before rejoining the group. Sometimes even just 5 minutes in the toilets also can do the trick.
Yes, it can.
Number 5 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Avoid body contact.
That is your...
Do not come up and hug me. Let me prepare.
Yeah.
Random note, because I haven't done one yet. I like to follow Abraham Hicks. And during one of the talking episodes, they were saying how people come up to them during a break and they want to hug Esther. And if you're not familiar with Abraham Hicks, Esther is the person who's doing the talking. Abraham is the spirit guide that's communicating through her.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So so it's Esther. And so they want to hug Esther, but they always say no because it changes Esther's energy when someone gives her a hug.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was rather interesting. And if you're not familiar with Abraham Hicks, YouTube podcasts are all out there. Very interesting. If it may not resonate with you, and it does. Or if it does, great. But I just enjoy listening to Abraham Hicks.
Okay.
All right. So just as you might avoid certain places, it's also okay to say no to hugs, kisses, or handshakes with people who make you uncomfortable. Energy can easily pass through you when you touch others. So it's possible that a hug meant to console a friend can easily result in you absorbing their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not to say you have to be heartless or avoid hugging a friend in need, but it's good to be aware of when to keep it brief and when it's okay to have a longer physical touch. And it's just as importantly, physical touch is an essential part of all relationships, so don't hold back unless you're picking up bad vibes. So people I know really well, if they suffer from depression, I limit my body contact.
Oh, yeah, so you don't pick it up, yeah. So you don't absorb it, yep.
Right.
Yep.
So and I do have a friend that suffers from severe depression. She cannot help it. It's just what she suffers from. But I do keep a distance with physical contact. And this person is a hugger.
Oh.
so I had to set that boundary early on.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, at Christmas time, I gave them a hug because they needed it. And she was totally so shocked and made a big deal out of it. I'm like, well, don't get used to it. They are few and far between.
Yeah.
But people that know me well know that I don't, I don't hug me and don't touch my gemstones that I'm wearing. This is, if you've met me, you know me, those are the
exactly.
rules. And so when I go to hug someone that knows my boundaries, they're like, oh my gosh, you're giving me a hug. Yeah, don't get used to it. The situation calls for it.
That's right.
Yeah. Practicing detachment would be number 6. And while we're on the subject of learning how to walk away, knowing when to give up helping others is also a key strategy in protecting yourself. And I don't think we really look at it as protecting ourselves when we do detachment. I think as empaths, we kind of internalize it when we know we have to walk away, that we made bad decisions, or we're just hurting, that we don't realize that what's happening is really just to protect yourself.
It's a good point.
As an empath, your natural desire is to help others, even if they don't want it. By opening up this channel of empathy, you're also opening a tunnel for energy to pass between the two of you. And every time you do this, you're taking on that person's energy without even realizing it. So what that means for you is, it means being far more exhausted than you should be, stressed with other people's issues, and drained from being a constant companion of support. And if that wasn't enough, in many cases, the very people you try to help don't need it. Or in some cases, they don't even want it.
Oh, true.
So you're putting yourself through all of this, trying to do what empaths do and be helpful, and the person may not even want you helping them.
That's a very good point. Yep.
So you need to let people come to you if they genuinely need help. And for the ones who don't, see it as a learning curve that everyone needs to go through. You know, we talked about this before, is stay in your own lane.
Right.
You know, we were going in the empath series, and this is it. I mean, if you're constantly reaching out to people that don't really want your help, you're putting yourself through an emotional roller coaster. You're draining yourself, and then they didn't want your help to begin with. So then you're like, well, that was a waste of time. Or what's wrong with you? I'm trying to help you.
Right.
Well,
what's wrong with me?
Maybe
I'm not. Yeah.
Only you would have taken it that way. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I'm a nice person. Why don't they like me? But, you know, the whole point is this might be part of their path, what they're going through. This might be something that they need to go through to get to where they need to be.
Right. Right.
So sometimes it's best to wait and let someone come to you. You know, I have a dear friend, and when she needs to hear the truth, this is what she told me the other day. Well, I need to hear the truth, so I'm calling you. I'm like, all right.
Okay.
Here we go.
Are you strapped into your seat?
Yeah. It was where she was at a point and she knew that she could call me and I was going to be truthful with her and not always sugarcoating, depending on the situation. But I could constantly hound her about what she needs to do, what she needs to do, and what she needs to do. And she's not going to listen to me.
Right.
Because she's not ready.
Right.
But if someone comes and approaches you and they're ready to hear or possibly hear what you have to say, you just have it's just less draining for you as an empath.
Gotcha.
All right, now we're going to do number 7, visualize protection. Kim has heard this one, many times?
Many times. I think I'd be an expert at it by now.
The easiest and quickest way you can block out unwanted energies, all just by using the power of your emotions. The next time you're stuck with an energy vampire or sat next to a negative energy on a bus or in a movie theater and you can't really move, picture a large protective shield around you. Now, I do a bubble. I do a white bubble. That's what I visualize. So what is easiest for you? A protective shield. It could be mirrors surrounding you, facing out, deflecting the energy. It could be a golden bubble. It's just kind of what works for you, which technique. But the main thing is you're going to focus all your energy on seeing the shield, feeling the protective forces, and visualizing all the negative energy that had got inside being evaporated. Now, the best part of this technique is the shield isn't just blocking external forces, it's also keeping all of your energy and positivity with you. So it's kind of like your own personal bodyguard that you can summon whenever you need to. And so it's really good to get into the habit of using your shield whenever you need it.
Right, exactly. And I'm doing better at it. I am.
I have a shield, and it's really funny. Cats are my spirit animal, which you'll hear me refer to cats, and you know, like the one dream with the mountain lion went after someone who invaded my dream.
Right.
I used to work with someone who's very toxic, really bad. I was kind of thinking they could have been a dark empath, I don't know, or just straight up narcissist. But anytime they were around, he liked to pick on women that were a little older, like older women. You know, if you were in your 40s to 50s, he was younger. He liked to say inappropriate things to you, make you feel uncomfortable and stuff. And I would do the bubble every time. And I was like, I would know before he got to where I was working. I could feel him coming. It got to be like, okay. And one day I was just exhausted. It'd been a rough day. And I just kind of like, all right, Spirit, I need some more protection because I have to work with this person and I'm, exhausted as it is. So I need more protection. And I tell you, I looked down and I saw a Black Panther sitting beside me.
Wow.
And he only appeared when that person was there. And it would move wherever he was. It would just stand, and it stood between me and this person. Now, obviously, I was the only person who saw the Black Panther, but that gave me comfort, and I knew I was protected.
Yes, exactly.
And that's all that mattered, was that protection. So your shield could be a Black Panther. Whatever you need your shield to be. But I would definitely do the shield first, for that keep your energy with you aspect of it. Depending on the environment, I've done the mirrors reflecting out. I have done that in certain stressful environments. But that takes you got to be a little more practice with your visualization skills to do that one.
Right.
But of course, like with any muscle, the more you use it, the easier it is to happen. So I really like number 7. I think it's very important.
Yeah, it is.
Number 8 is to use mantras and affirmations. Visualizing protection isn't the only thing you can do to use the power of your mind. Repeating mantras and affirmations are also a quick and convenient way to protect yourself. I call back my energy. I call back my energy. I release what's not mine. Those kind of things.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. Real quick. You're not going to go, I'm releasing my energies now. Good people, especially yours. But you just kind of like mentally to yourself, okay, yeah, I feel something that's not right. If it's mine, I release it because it doesn't serve me. If it's not mine, I release it. And that's what we're talking about, doing those quick clearing and releasing. So that's very important. And number 9, we have to get meditation in because meditation is very important. And if you haven't tried meditation, even though we keep suggesting it on every episode, you're missing out on a great strategy for protection. Because meditation is really useful for reducing stress. It can reduce anxiety. It can enhance self-awareness. It can improve emotional health, increasing concentration. It can help you sleep better. The recommendation is 20 minutes a day of just quieting your mind can do wonders.
Now, is it 20 minutes throughout the day or 20 minutes a day? Like
20,
5, 10, 15 here or whatever.
No, it should be a minimum of 20 minutes because think about it. A 5-minute meditation is great for you when you need like a guided meditation and it's kind of a quick me up. But that's not the kind of meditation where you're trying to quiet your mind.
Gotcha.
One of the things that Abraham Hicks always recommends is, because it's hard to quiet your mind, thoughts are popping in left and right. So you focus on a sound like the air conditioner running or the furnace running. And you just concentrate on that one sound.
Gotcha.
For 20 minutes. And so 20 consistent minutes is where you're going to get these big results of reducing your anxiety, your self-awareness, and all of that. And help with your emotions.
Okay, cool.
To not be overloaded. And it's an ideal way to keep your emotions grounded and your mind clear. And what's even better is that it can be done at work, home, or even sitting in your car when you need a break from other people. You just go sit in the car in the garage and meditate.
Yeah.
Just go where you need to. It's very important. I mean, I don't recommend telling someone you're going to the bathroom and be gone for 20 minutes because they might think you have a health issue. But but if it's your lunch hour, go take it. Go do what you want to do. Go meditate if you need it. But you should do at least a total sit-down meditation of 20 minutes a day.
Okay.
You can do the small ones throughout the day as you need it. But, if you do it in the evening time, you will definitely have better sleeping benefits from meditating in the evening.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And yes, and we mentioned breathing before, and of course that's going to be number 10. Just as meditation can work wonders for your soul, so can breath work. Our breath has the potential to change our entire mood, and knowing how to harness this power means you always stay in control when a stressful or tiring situation appears. When you're faced with negative energies, calmly breathe in deeply. As you do so, imagine yourself breathing in peace and tranquility and exhaling any stress or negativity. When you do guided meditation, what's the first thing they have you do?
Breathe.
In deeply, exhale. This is very common to do breathing exercises, and it's so much better for you, especially if you're breathing in peace and tranquility, exhaling any stress and negativity. As well as cleansing your energy space, breath work can also calm you down and clear your head. It's the perfect form of protection to use in situations where you can't leave. For example, during a meeting at work or when you're in line at the supermarket.
Oh, yes, I have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do the one you do for labor. Don't do that one in public. Then.
Yeah, not good.
Not good, no. Okay, number 11 is another one of my favorites.
Yes.
Gemstones. Gemstones all have different purposes, metaphysically, color-wise. They're great to carry for a physical form of protection. Now, a few stones I highlighted. Amethyst is great for protection and stress. Moonstone is very soothing, calming, and a great stone for travel. Rose quartz promotes self-love and is a love stone, and I think that stone is very important to have. I have one of those on my bedside table.
Oh, okay, cool.
Shungite kills bacteria and viruses and is grounding and protective. Labradorite is a powerful protector. You regain energy while aiding the body and spirit in its self-healing. Blue kyanite opens your throat chakra, encouraging communication and self-expression. So I put that in there as the protection because they all work together. Now, my personal psychic protection necklace, I meditated on it a couple years ago. What do I need to have on a daily basis for psychic protection? And I was told shungite, labradorite, and blue kyanite. So I made this necklace with all three. The shungite is behind the labradorite and the blue kyanite, so you really can't see it, but it touches my skin. So it's closest to my skin. And I, of course, put it in copper to amplify what the stones do. And shungite kills bacteria and viruses. I've, knocking on wood and thankful to my spirit guides, have not had COVID.
Yeah. You have not.
So I don't know if the shungite is helping me with that, but it could not hurt.
Right.
But so you don't have to wear these in a necklace. You can have them in your pocket. Some people put stones in their bra. Just be careful when you remove your bra so they don't go flying and land in the toilet.
Right.
Personal experience talking there. In particular, though, black is known to be the best for neutralizing energy and grounding emotions. Perfect for empaths who need to block out external emotions and rein in their own emotions. So you could also do stones like black kyanite as well. There's black tourmaline, which is very grounding. So you've got many options.
Right.
And they look beautiful when you're wearing them.
Yes, they do.
Now, number 12 is reduce social media usage. Taking breaks or reducing your social media usage is another great protection strategy. The internet is riddled with emotional triggers and overstimulating content. Simply put, social media like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of those are designed to keep your attention. But if you need to limit that because the news feeds have ads in them, you're being bombarded with information and taken on an emotional journey that often ends up with hours being wasted scrolling on your phones.
So true.
For empaths, this can take a great emotional toll. Whilst there's a lot of positivity online, it can still quickly wear you down. So set limits on how much you use it. Instead, try to get your creative juices flowing and get some fresh air and exercise. That'll be much better cure for your exhaustion than staring at a screen. Your mind and body will thank you for it. I know a lot of people will do social media a lot right before bed or in bed, and then they have trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
Because their mind isn't shutting off.
Right.
Prevent empathy overload. Just as you might set time limits for social media usage, it's also handy to structure your time in a way that avoids empath overload. If you know that certain activities during the week cause you to go into overload, rearrange your schedule so that you have less to do on those days. Having time management is useful here because you can plan your time around your empath needs and create a life that doesn't ever get to be too much. I mean, think about it. How can you protect yourself if you don't first get in control of your time?
Makes perfect sense.
Alongside being upfront about your needs, you also need to plan for emotional overload and be prepared for it. By knowing when you'll need some downtime, you can effectively prevent becoming burnt out or overwhelmed in most situations, and you'll automatically create more time for self-care.
Nice.
And finally, spending time in nature. Empaths need nature to reset their emotional dial and reconnect with themselves and the earth. Whether it's a quick walk in the local park or a day at the beach, being around trees, water, or animals is a sure way to cleanse off any negativity and regain strength. And as empaths are often called emotional sponges, it makes sense that being in nature works so well. They absorb the calm yet powerful energy that can be found in the wild. A great exercise for empaths is to try earthing, which we've mentioned quite a few times.
Yes.
Where you're going to connect your body with the earth, usually by walking barefoot on the ground, lying down, or swimming in open water, opposed to swimming in closed water. What that means?
Well, it means not in a pool, but you're out in like a lake or the
lake.
ocean, which you'll never get me into a lake. So
I have trouble with lakes because, well, I have trouble with any water. I can't see the bottom, but that's because I nearly drowned as a child.
yes.
And I have a fear. Yeah, I have a fear of dark water
Yes.
and deep water.
Yes, you do.
If I could see the bottom, I'm okay. If it's clear, I'm not as panicky. But yes, that goes back to, what was I, 4 or 5? I think. Maybe 6.
Maybe 6 at the oldest.
I think it was 6, yeah. I'll be earthing on the ground. I won't be earthing in the water. But so, what's the point of earthing? Well, to start with, it's a direct way to feel the Earth's energy transfer between you, which in itself is a powerful experience. Secondly, it's believed that earthing can reset our body rhythm, creating better sleep habits and improving emotional stability. And if there wasn't enough, earthing can also reduce our stress levels and have a positive effect on tension and pain within the body.
That all makes so much sense.
So what's very important is understanding your empath needs. So now we've covered the top ways you can protect yourself as an empath. We're going to take a step back and recognize why you need to know yourself first before you can protect yourself. You need to first embrace who you are as an empath and be upfront with yourself about your needs. Otherwise, you'll be blindly neglecting areas in your life where you need protection. We've all done this one.
Mm-hmm.
Not realizing our needs. And that was kind of why we put this behind the empaths and not in front of the empath series, because you have to see what kind of empath you are.
Right.
And then you have to know how your needs are going to play out. What do you need?
Mm-hmm.
And your needs might change. As you psychically grow, your needs might change. So you may have to re-tap into, okay, what are my needs now?
Right.
Are they the same? Are they different? And write down your needs periodically just to make sure you're on track. Now, you also want to reflect on times when you've experienced empathy or emotional overload. What caused it? What was going on when you experienced that? So help identifying those triggers can help you better protect yourself, and that you're just not reacting, but you're more set up to, you're not going to get me this time, situation.
Exactly.
Are there certain situations that make you feel more stressed out than others? Are there any energy vampires that you need to reduce contact with? As with anything in life, knowing what the causes of your overloads are can help you reduce and eliminate them. And once you're clear on what they are, nothing can hold you back from thriving in life as an empath. And with these protection techniques, you can go and be your best self without worrying about negative energies dragging you down. It's time to take control of your emotional needs. You and you alone are responsible for your self-care and well-being, and only you can apply the right protective strategies to suit your needs.
Makes sense.
Any questions or comments, Kim?
No, I don't think I have anything at this time.
I would like to ask our listeners, going back to the Dark Empath, if you wouldn't mind sharing your story with us, please email us at psychicbent1@gmail.com, or you can message us on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcasts. We would love to hear your stories, and if it's something you wouldn't mind us sharing online, we also would love to do that
Correct.
as well.
And if you have any questions or anything like that, or any other stories you'd like to share, just contact us. We'd love to be able to put together an episode with your stories.
And it could be anything psychic. It doesn't have to necessarily pertain to the dark empath. If one of the clairs has resonated with you, or you've had a psychic event that you would just like to share, we're truly open for that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that wraps up this episode and our final episode in the Empath series. We do hope you enjoyed the series. I know Kim and I had a lot of fun putting together the information. Hopefully it came through, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Our next episode will be on grounding and protection.
Yes, very, very important.
All right, guys, have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to Psychic Bent. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.